Welcome to LOA Today. I'm Walt Thiessen.
With me today is abundance teacher and money coach, Jody Lynn Craven.
This is your daily dose of happy. We are so happy you decided to join us today. And happy Wednesday as we approach the end of April. I have to admit, Jody Lynn, I'm still kind of coming to terms with that. I don't know about you. We've had a cold, for our area, we've had a cold winter and a cold early spring. For the first time, I don't know where you're at temperature-wise. You're probably not quite where we're at yet, but we're at the point now where we're just starting to get spring temperatures 1 month into spring.
Exactly.
Where are you right now?
Same thing. Like we had a dump of snow over the weekend and we were like, why, God, why? I thought it was supposed to be spring, but today is a beautiful day and it's more like spring temperatures. So it's coming.
And our guest today knows nothing about this lately anyway. She used to years ago, but she doesn't anymore because she lives in San Diego where the weather's gorgeous all the time.
Exactly.
So, she doesn't have to even deal with this. Nice choice, by the way, Julie, but welcome to the program. How you doing?
Thank you. Well, spending like 4 years in upstate New York, I think you know how that feels like.
Oh, yeah.
When I was like snowing in May and I was out for California.
I don't blame you one bit.
Yeah.
It's gotten to the point now where I have been thinking for quite some time, is this really where I want to stay? And so far the answer is no, but I don't have a better answer yet. So I'm working on that one, but it'll come. It comes when it's ready. But for the moment, what needs to come is we need to know a little bit more about you because Julie Feldman has a story that basically sets up how her career and life took some important changes and shifts, but we got to know the story first before we can get to the career part. So Julie, fill us in on the gaps. How did you get to what you're doing today?
Well, after upstate New York and moving to California, yeah, I feel that when you find what you're here to do, like the business or that what motivates you, what inspires you, that thing works on you as you work on it. And so my journey into, I'd say, becoming sort of like this learning to be empowered matriarch, right? That's my goal. And that's what I want to inspire the maidens and the matriarchs and the masculine, if you are so inspired, to just tap into your worth. And where that starts is when we're younger. And it's almost, I'd like to say that like we're at a table, right? And we're born with our worth. That's like given. And but then all these people, personalities from your past, from history, like past lifetimes, they start to show up at your table, and they're there because they want to protect you, right? They're like, oh, we tried this and this really wasn't safe, Julie. So like, let me sit at your table and like, let me protect you. But what they're really doing is they think they're keeping you safe, but they're preventing you like from being happy, from stepping into your joy, from finding your real worth. And I think so my path to sitting at the table and owning my place at the table without these sort of protectors and people started happening with the birth of my second daughter, who had a lot of sensory stuff going on with her. She was really violent. And while all my other friends were having these like beautiful experiences with their first and their second kids, and although we're all sleep deprived at that point, my child was having night terrors I couldn't wake her out of them. And she was having like inflammation and spots showing up on her thigh. And she was violent and hitting me and really pushing me up against the wall of like what my boundaries were, what my tools and capabilities were. And I grew up. And so that, I guess I would say that when I was growing up, I would call her a mother with a lot of narcissistic tendencies and abusive traits. And so I didn't get a lot of tools from a mom like that on how to work with and love and understand a daughter who presented as she was. So I remember on my knee moment, like she had just slammed at like 2, 3 years old, her little brother who was like toddler, his fingers in a door, and I remember
Ouch.
screaming at her. Yeah, I mean, and as a parent, your protector, you know,
Mm.
your tiger mama comes in and you're like,
Yeah.
your one kid's hurting your other kid, but you're going to the kid that's getting hurt.
Yeah, don't mess with mama bear. It's not a good policy.
It's so not good. It's so not good. I'm sure a lot of people can relate. And I screamed at her and I even swore at her, and I still to this day, like, it makes me so sad because I knew in that moment, like, I was reflecting my mother within the words and the
Mm.
actions that I was saying, and I was like, "This isn't who I am. This isn't who I'm here to be, and this is not how I wanna present." And I just lost it, and I was like, "W Give me tools." And so I started seeking, you know, I was always interested in metaphysics from a really young age and really intuitive, but I started seeking like Reiki and healing and yoga, the practice of meditation, and all of these things little by little were anchoring me into like a more grounded place where I could respond to her rather than react to her. And so that's kind of how yoga became this like very big place in my heart where I could sort of begin to change my approach and find myself again. And then the second sort of level, I would say like level 10 that came in with like some betrayals in my marriage, and really it was after a 20 almost 20-year marriage. Things were brought to the light, and um I knew that I was worth so much more than the situation that I was in. It was really challenging, and it brought me to my knees once again. And I thought, well, I could continue because he proposed, well, we can continue to live like this, right? But we don't have to like love each other. Basically, we could
Mm.
just like we could be cushy. Like you could have your job and I could have my, you'll take care of the kids and basically I all the thing. And I said no, like that. Where is my worth? And as I had thankfully been growing and working on that, and I think that somewhere in that, of me really stepping slowly into my worth and working on that, he saw that and didn't like it. And that was where the big falling out and decision to like end a very long marriage and go into another deep layer of working on the healing and the worth and knowing that I belong at my own table and that I'm worthy of all the gifts and all the things that I'm here to teach and to learn. And so through those experiences, I came up with the Orenda, which is really putting tools on the table for you to find yourself, to connect with your essence, to connect with all the sort of special qualities that you have. And through the mind and the body and the spirit, we can take intentions and really create more of a substantial memory impact rather than just like saying an intention. It's really a full experience. So I hope that makes sense. And that was
Yeah.
kind of a long story of like
No,
how
it's all
I
right.
got here.
Well, I mean, you touched on a theme that we often touch on, and as you were telling it, a similar theme just came up in my mind, which was, isn't it amazing when we go through these down and out experiences, how much stronger they make us? Because that's essentially
Mhm.
what you were talking about. You were talking about how you gathered the strength by gathering all these ideas about your own value.
Mhm.
Absolutely. I think that as much as we don't like to hear it or experience it, it's the things in life that are the hardest that give us the wisdom if we listen. and actually up level our lives if we're willing to take that chance. But it's that risk. It's that choice of staying safe and having those protectors keep you, stay at the table with you, or saying like, I actually don't need to be protected because I've been through hell and back, and now I know that it's much better on the other side.
I get pissed off about it, to be perfectly honest. I mean, because on the one hand, it's always, whenever you're going through that kind of, we often call it a crash and burn moment. When you go through one of those crash and burn moments, it's horrible to go through it. You come through the other side, you're so much stronger, you've got so much more knowledge and so forth, and you look back and you realize that was like, as bad as it was, I don't want to go through it again. It was the best thing that ever happened. That pisses me off.
Yeah, it's totally
the best
annoying.
thing that I learned from is the thing that was most miserable.
It's so annoying. It's true. And I feel like it's like, if I had, you think back, as like a lot of people do when they've gone through something, like, oh gosh, I wish I should have known, there were signs, I should have seen it. But it's like, you only know when you know. You only know when you're ready to know. Otherwise, you're just going off of the tools that were given to you or that you learned along the way. So it's like, oh, like, why couldn't I have been hit over the head a little sooner? Like, because it's so true. Like, and you also think that, like, someone that was saying this to me, and I think it makes so much sense. It's like, first it's like the signs come in, but it's like drizzle, right? And you don't mind the drizzle. And then it's the rain and you're like, oh, it's annoying, but I can take the rain. I've seen the rain before. I know how to deal with the rain. I have an umbrella, like whatever. And then it's like, then eventually it becomes this giant tsunami. And then you have no choice but to respond to that. And
I call that a 2x4 moment, but it's basically the same idea.
Yeah. I mean, we could have responded to the drizzle, but it just wasn't loud enough. And I mean, I think so many things in life are playing out like that, just in our current, state. Yeah. So.
And the amazing part also for me is not just learning from my own experience that I go through, but I mean, Jody Lynn, you and I have been doing this show now for what, 5 years, something like that. And plus our own histories of the own stuff that we've gone through. How many times have we heard stories like this, where somebody goes through a crash and burn moment and it comes through the other side and everything is so much stronger and you learn so much about yourself and it really pisses you off.
On a weekly basis.
Well, pretty much, yeah.
It's the common denominator.
What keeps us coming back, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
But then when I reflect back on, like, yes, the last, I mean, I think the last 4 years of this, getting through the divorce, deciding to divorce and actually going through it took 4 years, which was extremely painful. The most painful thing I think I've done in my life. It was a death in many ways, and no one can prepare you for that. But when I think about being in the marriage that I was in for 20 years and the person that I was, I can't now imagine living like that ever again in my life. Yeah. And so when you collect all of that there's so many pains. It's like pebbles of pain versus one like giant boulder that hits you. But like the boulder hits you and it's gone. The pebbles like continue to bury you, like if you let them. So I wouldn't trade that. And that's why the work that I am doing now to really help inspire people to find their worth. And because when you find your worth, you won't accept anything but what you know you're worthy of. And that is so important to me, to like spread that word and help.
That's a wonderful thing. I mean, Jody Lynn, we've talked about this a number of times, I know, but I'll zero in using the words that Julie is giving us today. Do you recall when it was that you finally began to realize what your self-worth was?
I don't feel like it's one moment. I feel like it was building all along, like having a bunch of 2x4 moments.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I won't put up with that. And then moving on to the next thing and then learning. I feel like I am very strong-headed, like very stubborn. I don't know if this is offensive or not, but I'm German and my dad always calls it square-headed. And I think that that's true, that I am very stubborn. So I think that it was layers of understanding what I'm worth now, and believing a new version of that worth, and also like detaching from the societal structures of, we learn you go and get a good job, or go to school and get a good job and make lots of money, and then you're worthy of a good life. Like, even to that detail, or that layer of like, not just the things that I learned to believe that I picked up along the way, or situations that I was in, but I think there's the layers of that, plus now the societal structures, the ancient structures, those kinds of things. So I feel like it's been a few 2x4 moments.
Yeah.
That.
In other words, it's kind of hard to pick between them, is what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not that you really want to, but
yeah, exactly. But I feel like they all built on one another. Like, I had a relationship story that, it was a really bad relationship. And then when I learned, I had the courage and learned, I don't deserve this. I deserve a lot more than this, and decided to do the uncomfortable thing and walk away. That was one layer of me building that confidence and like seeing that worth. Oh yeah, I'm worthy of somebody who loves me and doesn't tear me down every moment. But I think it just continued to build after that.
I think that's awesome. And I think there's like so many, I think we continue to do it. It's a lifetime of, of working on that, because as we grow, our interpretation of our own worth changes and evolves. And we also have these players that keep showing up at the table, even though we've like, thank you for being here. I appreciate the work you've done. And then every now and then they're like, but you're making me uncomfortable again. And you just have to like remind them, like, thank you for being at the table, and I've got this. It is, yeah.
It's an ongoing challenge. Well, actually, what you're doing in my mind is you're bringing something up that I've been kind of focusing on off and on for the last few days, noticing in a very large way how there is a smaller segment of the population, we tend to get them all on the show here, of people who, like you and like Jody Lynn and like myself, have, we've encountered our crash and burn moments, and we've come through the other side determined to grow, determined to do what it took to move ahead. An awful lot of people don't do that. And so I'm kind of curious about what your take is on that. Why do you think it is that so many people who get faced by this kind of thing just block it off? They aren't willing to do what they need to do. They aren't willing to do what they call the inner work. They aren't willing to do that part. Why do you think that is?
That's such a good question. And I think about that a lot as well. And I think there's like anything, there's always a few answers. Sometimes part of me, well, not sometimes, I do believe that when we come into this lifetime, we're here to understand and gain wisdom for like our soul's evolution. And not everyone is given the same instructions, or is at the same.
I don't know about you. I didn't get an instruction, man. I never got it.
I don't remember the instructions, but I think I might have gotten them. Go out and do this. But no, I think that like there's different things that each of us are supposed to gain in each lifetime that we're in. That's just my personal belief, whatever, you choose. But that is part of that belief of why people don't always do that. I also think there's a lot of fear. Like I've been saying, people have so much fear in what they don't know. Like what am I'm giving up all this to step into something I don't know what that looks like. I don't even know myself. So how can I know what I'm stepping into? I don't know what I can create. I've never learned to believe in myself before. So how can I believe that I'm going to get the job or do the thing or be able to support my family? Like all of these fears, and a lot of it resides in our brain. And I think the practice that I really believe so strongly in is that meditation, that sitting with the self. And what that does is it actually transfers your mind brain into your heart brain. And your heart brain has like 40,000 neurons or something, like so many And it's with your heart and your gut. Like we have almost three brains. Like your gut is one, and that's your intuition center, and your heart is that like loving higher self center. And when you listen to those two things before you listen to your brain, you can override that fear. But most of us aren't taught the tools and how to do it, and they don't even know that exists, right?
Yeah,
Like,
we're
oh,
so disconnected from our body
Mhm.
completely.
Right. And it's like coming back to that, like that. It's it's really spirit, body, mind, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's so important. And movement, like when you're sedentary, you're not exercising your whole body in order to like relieve the mind of all of the tension that it's storing. So,
I
Mhm.
remember the first time that I encountered and was actually presented with the information that there are more neurons in the heart than in the brain. Because the first thing I did was doubt it. I said, no, I can't be right. I had to go check it to see if this was correct. And then I found out it was correct. And that blew my mind. Like, wow, how could that possibly be? Now, since then, I've come to appreciate it to a much greater degree. But when you're first confronted with that's a shock. It just is. How could the brain have fewer neurons than the heart? But it does.
what it does. Yeah. I mean, and like we think about just our, beginning of time ancestors, and they didn't use as much of their brain. They actually motivated from their gut first, right? Like that
Sure.
was their intuition center of like,
Right.
is there danger around me? Do I into it? Do I feel it? Do I feel the energy around me of like another animal, another predator?
Mhm.
And we had more skills from our heart and our gut of like what to do when there was that like fear. So like have you heard about like the animals that they shake after
Oh, yeah.
yeah, so like if anyone doesn't know this, it's like a zebra is being chased by a lion, um and somehow the zebra escapes. It will literally shake its whole body because the energy that is like all the cortisol, all the things that like come into their body that gets stuck there. They know that they need to shake it off in
They
order.
literally shake it off. That's the
They
part that's funny.
literally shake it
Yeah.
off. It's a movement, and we forget. We sit so much, and we're having little stresses all day long. Like, oh shoot, I forgot that phone call. Oh, my dishwasher broke. Oh, like these little stresses on top of the big stresses. Like, are all of us shaking? Are all of us walking? Are we getting up? Are we moving? We need to do those things to connect more with that heart, and then we can take the steps in order to kind of step out of the fear. So,
Mhm.
Jody Lynn, you have horses. Have you seen your horses do that?
100%. Yeah. You can actually watch videos with, I think it's the most fascinating when it's, younger people or children that have um, auditory issues, like they're just not speaking, those kinds of things. And you can watch them standing right beside a horse, touching it, like, but it doesn't really need to, the person doesn't need to be touching the horse, but you'll see the horse like shiver and then yawn or like cough or whatever, like they're literally moving the energy for you and grounding it. It's such a beautiful thing. And then you'll see them do it like after you've done an exercise with them. That's where I learned all about the gut connection, was learning about horses, because they have giant guts. So they're interpreting so much information very, very rapidly. And that's why people say they can smell fear or whatever. It's not that. It's that they're connected to the energy, or they have huge guts, which have energy receptors just like ours, and they're sensing all the information. So when they see that what is presented to them is not matching the feelings, you're trying to hide your fear or something like that, they know something's off, and they're herd animals. So they're afraid, like, oh God, somebody's going to kill me. They're not telling the truth. So that's what they're reacting to. And we have this skill too, to sense people before they ever speak and know what's really going on. And it's really fascinating.
And you've had the direct experience too with your own horses. I mean, you've had the experience of them connecting to you, you connecting to them, and you can actually feel what is it they're
100%.
feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, and I feel that with my dog. I think the more time you spend with animals, feels like there's a conversation between you and your animal. So I feel that with my horses, is that I can have a different kind of conversation. They'll respond to me differently. But I think the thing that I get most from my horses is is just their ability to transfer that energy. Like I feel that in my entire body, just standing next to them, how they take all of the energy and shake it out.
That's
So
so
cool.
cool.
Yeah. It's really magical.
I love that. And I love how it influences not only your life but your thinking, and in ways that are similar to what Julie you were talking about. Because when you encounter this, it's one thing to hear it and to understand it abstractly. It's another thing to experience it, because the experience is really, that's how we integrate it, right? That's how it really becomes a part of our thought process and our experience and the way we approach the world.
Absolutely. Yeah. We have to, it's our subconscious mind, I think, is like 95 to 98% of like how we operate in the world, and our conscious mind is the rest. So it's like, in order to actually change our thought processes, we really need to incorporate the whole body, the whole spirit, the whole energy system in order to change. And so when we change our thoughts, we really do change our lives. It's that impactful. We change our health. We change what is attracted to us and what we pull in. So it's this really fascinating network of like healing when we incorporate it all.
Jody Lynn, of course, likes to connect via her horses, but do you have a particular way that is your favorite, that this is like my go-to? If I really need to feel connected, this is what I do?
My breath. I know that
Your breath?
sounds, yeah. Anytime, and like I'm human, like I'm gonna get stressed out just like anybody else.
No, you don't get stressed.
Of course.
Never.
Right, superhuman. But and I still go to people who work on my energy as well, but it's always about coming back to your heart center and your breath. And if you take, there's different techniques of breathing. It's like 4 counts in, hold at the top, 4 counts out, hold. Like you can do different patternings, 4 counts in, 8 counts out, in through the nose, out through the mouth, in through the nose, out through the nose. Like there's so many beautiful techniques. This is all really to calm your nervous system. And when we can calm our nervous system, we can connect with that higher self, that energy center, that is the heart, that is the stomach, that is the intuition. Because if we're living in the mind, just think about it so high that our breath is just kind of like so shallow and so short that we're really not pulling that deep breath in and relaxing the whole body. So breath is that's my first go-to.
I get that one totally. In fact, I had an experience with it yesterday. I had a Reiki session yesterday. I literally got my Reiki master certificate 10 days ago, and I had the session with the teacher of that class yesterday. And she's brilliant at her work. She's really, really good at it. By the time she was done with the session and told me, take your time getting up and so forth, I took my time. I was practically out. That was the level of relaxation.
Reiki
And when you
is
have that
so
level of
powerful.
relaxation, and it came from the breathing, and breathing was a big part of that session. And so that's what I'm thinking about as you're talking about how powerful that breath really is. It's powerful.
It's really powerful. And if anyone is, there's so many breathwork classes out there and things online that are free that you can just tap into. It could take anywhere from like 1 minute to an hour if you want to, really explore. But it is a complete nervous system reset. And sometimes you find, like I've done breathwork sessions where like there's somebody really guiding you through it. And I mean, just tears coming out or screaming, and they walk you through it. I've been in rooms where people, I mean, it sounds like, just going through so much pain, but the release that happens, and everyone's kind of like you said, when you get off that Reiki table and you're kind of like floating and you need them. I mean, there's so many amazing modalities out there to help us, because we should not be doing this alone, and we should be connecting. We are supposed to be in community.
Yeah, that was one of the reasons I took the classes with this particular teacher. Is she isn't strictly Reiki or something like that. Like when she did the session yesterday, was officially a Reiki session, but she also incorporated some Chinese medicine, and she included some shamanism, and she's like drawing from all these different disciplines to do the session for me, and which I think is great, because who cares what it's called? Who cares where it came from? Which one's going to work today? That's the most important one.
Yeah, and I think we all have our own gifts. Like I would have my master's Reiki certification as well.
Very good.
And I feel like just a sidebar that was one of the things that really like launched a lot of change in my life. If I look back to like where things started to really shift, it's when I started becoming like a Reiki master, which was so interesting. And I really just did it to help actually my middle daughter that I had talked about earlier.
Okay.
So I was doing a lot of Reiki on her, and now I can't remember my point, but
Well, actually, that raises an interesting question. I mean, you
Yeah.
did it on her. What do you think came out of it? How helpful was it for her?
it was so interesting. I remember doing it on her, and she had just a lot of brain fog, a lot of inability to like execute like a response rather than like just be reactive all the time.
Mhm.
And she was slow in school. And I remember doing a session on her, and she would just calm down, just like melt. And then sometimes she'd get like twitchy though with her body. Like you
Oh,
could
sure.
see the energy just working through her.
Yeah.
Another time, like I was doing it on her head, there was just a lot of energy there. And when we stopped, she just randomly is like, 2 + 2 is 4, mama. And I was like, what? What? Like you've never said that before in your life. Like what? I didn't know you
Wow.
could count, So it's like, it's just one of these things that we really don't know truly like the power that energy and healing
Yeah.
and working with modalities can have on our life's experience. So
I think that's
Wow.
what it is. It's the experience, right, Jody Lynn? I mean,
Yeah.
until you experience something, until you actually feel it, it doesn't have as much of an impact. And when you start to feel it, now all of a sudden, you may have heard about it before, maybe somebody taught you about it, but now it starts to register.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's wild because a lot of things we feel are so insignificant. Like, oh, it should be more than just breathing. Like it's got to be more than waving your hands over someone. And I know Reiki is not just that, but that's what people think of. Oh, this insignificant thing you're doing, and that's going to change your life. Yes. Yes, it is.
it is.
But until you go through it and you feel the energy move, or you feel whatever it is that practice that you're working on, you can't quantify how big it is until you've been in it.
And I'll be honest. I mean, even going through the Reiki classes, there were times where they have certain little moves you do, kind of ceremonial type stuff and so forth. And I would do it with the class, but inside I'm thinking to myself, this is ridiculous. Why am I doing this part? This is stupid. Nobody's going to know anything about this. It's not going to amount to anything. And then later on, it would actually produce something that's like, okay, wait a minute. What just happened here?
100%. I absolutely agree with that so much, because I think it's super healthy to have discernment. I mean, there's so many things out there that maybe it's not your channel of like what you're supposed to use as a modality, or they're just not very good at teaching the modality. They're not-
That is
but
important.
there are practitioners out there that maybe need to take a beat before they practice, but yeah, it's so I remember too, like doing the distant Reiki or getting it on myself, and I'm like, hey, how is that even
Yeah, right.
happening? And what distant Reiki is like the idea that like there's no like through space and time, there's nothing, everything connects us, right? So you
It
can
does.
do Reiki on anybody across the country, across the world. You just have to picture them and send energy. So I remember receiving it and feeling completely knocked out and thinking, okay, I can get on board with this. And then when I became and started practicing just like for my family and friends, I was doing on a friend, and I was picturing like as you go through the body systems and where the energy is pulling. And I got on the call with her afterwards, and she described exactly where my hands went and why and where they were hovering most. And she was like feeling it. And I was like, I just did that. Like, you just felt that? Like, what? It was crazy.
That's funny. Walt did Reiki on my knee. I don't know. This was a couple of months ago. I was having some knee issues and it was tough. And he's like, "You want me to do some on you?" Yeah, why not? Let's do it. So we were just on here or we were on the phone or something. And I remember being like, holy crap. That really felt like it just like opened things up. And I already believed in Reiki, and I've never had a distance session, but I've had it in person. But I think we were both like, that was cool.
It was really cool. Yeah. Cause I remember you saying you could feel my energy on your knee, and I could feel energetically, I could feel the shape of your knee we were saying at the same moment. We're practically talking on top of each other to say it. I mean, that's what's so weird about it.
Yeah, exactly. It's when you have experiences like that really open you up to even feeling more and more of that power.
Yeah, just trusting. It's like that faith that like there are really things here to help us, to guide us. And we just have to be open to seeing them and open to following them and listening. Like that small nuance of the voice inside that like kind of nudges you. A lot of times, like you were saying, why people don't go for it, but I think like a lot of times we don't listen or we don't trust that voice. But when
Absolutely.
we do, like when we do decide to trust that voice, even just slowly, it really starts to shift everything.
And I think about society in general. Sorry, Walt.
No, go ahead.
That like if you don't have a parent that believes in this kind of stuff or believes in like listening to that intuition, that small voice, following it, these kinds of things, how would you learn it? Like, how would you learn to,
That's me.
Right?
That's exactly me.
Like to listen to that voice, to trust it, to move forward, like, those kinds of things. I didn't grow up with parents that were like that either. My dad was really into personal development. So like the philosophical side of things, like I could really get in deep with him there and like, tickle that side of my brain. And then eventually when I got into the healing side of things and energy, it seemed like he was already on his own journey of like going through Tai Chi and whatever. And I was like, okay, this is my chance to tell him. He might think I'm weird, but and it was good. Sometimes my mom still looks at me like I'm weird, but she loves me. It's fine. But I think like, if when I first started getting into this, I know I lost friends because they didn't understand the transformation that I was going through and the things that I was feeling. And it seemed scary to them. And I think if I wasn't as stubborn and committed to my own journey, that probably would have stifled me. And I think it stifles a lot of people of like, oh, this is kind of weird. But it's magic. It's like live magic, like real magic.
It's real magic.
Well, I'm also thinking about the people I've met and known who they've done, the Reiki classes or the Reiki shares or whatever. Or they've done the other kinds of alternative healings. They've been through a number of different things like that, but they don't end up doing any of the inner work. And their perception on what happens is fascinating to hear about. Like one of the common themes that I hear from somebody who is kind of on that track is how they never actually feel anything in like a Reiki session or something like that. They don't, and then they hear everybody else, especially if they go to a Reiki share. For people who don't know, a Reiki share is where people who know Reiki are doing Reiki on each other in this group environment. And they go to the Reiki share and they hear all these great stories from everybody else. And they say, well, what about me? It's not happening to me. Why doesn't it happen to me? And of course, what occurs to me is, well, they're not open to it. They haven't been doing the inner work. You got to do the inner work before you can receive this stuff. That's the thing. And I mean,
I feel like I feel like when you start to receive though, it's like the chicken or the egg, right? Like,
yeah, true. Yeah.
Yeah. Cause like maybe you get a glimpse of it, but then but you doubt it. And then you like poo poo it. So it's like, it's like getting glimpses over and over and over until you finally believe it. And then you do the work. But like, if you're not going to trust it and you're not going to have faith, you're not connecting. You're still in your mind. You're not in your heart. So
I think that's a great mirror of what you were saying earlier about like the little droplets of rain and then it gets a little heavier, but you have an umbrella, and then it's a tsunami. I think that transformation and feeling the other side of the veil, if you will, is kind of like the same. You get these little droplets, but you're like, oh no, that can't be real. Oh no, that can't be real. And then you're like, well, I've got, my regular constructs that I grew up with, my umbrella, I'm safe here. And like, this is the things I see in front of me are the only things that are actually happening. They're real. See? And then it's a tsunami and you're like, oh, okay. I don't know anything.
Right. And I feel like I still now I believe it, but I'm still like, oh my God, did that just happen? Oh my gosh. Like the synchronicities, they just pop in all the time, all the time. It's so magical. I question it. Like it's good. I still have discernment. I still use that as a tool and a guide as well. But yeah, I want everyone to be able to experience this and because you become so much happier, you become so much more peaceful in your heart, in your everyday, and you learn to respond to things and not to react. It's just it's living a different life.
Do you get the impression that I get that as much as this kind of stuff has been, well, I'll put it this way, it's generally been categorized as woo-woo. So, put it away in a corner, pay no attention to them. That's the crazy people over there, that kind of thing. As much as it's been categories like that, it has become more and more mainstream. It's not mainstream. It's not like the vast majority of people are buying into it. But my perception is that there are just more and more people. Maybe it's because I'm doing the show. I've been doing it for 13 plus years. Maybe that's why I have that perception, but I don't think it is just that. I think more people are actually connecting in a sense.
I agree with you. And I know it's within community and communities in specific areas. Like in San Diego, there's so many resources for me, as opposed to, growing up in the countryside in Philadelphia, I just had me to, and then the tarot reader, in the, in the store or whatever.
Yeah.
But I do think people are coming online, and I do think it's time. And I've heard that just in my own intuition and my own meditations that the time is now. We need to connect with each other. We need to find community again. We need to find that love for each other and first for ourselves. When we can find that love for ourselves, then we can shine that out to others and give others permission to love themselves and do the work. And so it's like a critical time in this earth life. And I think that a lot of people are tapping into that message.
And you see it too, don't you, Jody Lynn? I'm pretty sure you do.
Totally. Yeah. And I think too that because I do believe we are all connected. I think everything is connected. Everything is connected, whether it's what we can see or not see. I think everything we are connected to. So I think as we change and we hold that change, meaning hold that level of consciousness or light or whatever you want to call it, I think that there's a ripple effect to all of the things, whether we can see them or not see them, just like distance Reiki, it's pushing out. And so it's rippling out. And I think other people who aren't very conscious of it or as conscious are feeling it and beginning to shift and then opening. And then it creates this literal ripple effect. I think that's what I'm seeing happening around the world.
And I think you bring up a good point too, of people are feeling it. And so it not only gets people excited about it and doing it and interested in it, but it also creates contrast. It creates more people trying to fight. Our own consciousness does this. Before we shift and change, your old patterns fight very hard because your brain is such just an incredible network of knowledge and pattern and system that we will fight hard to prevent that change from happening, even though it's good. Because like I said all along, we don't know what we're going into. So what we know is safe. But the people who are really afraid of that change are buckling down and hammering in and trying to fight harder. And that's how it's scary. It's a scary time in the world, all over the world. But I feel like I have faith, just like it sounds like you guys do, that really things are changing.
Oh,
And one way to see that is like, goes back to our first message of like contrast builds wisdom, builds change. And so like this contrast that people are having, it's building change because people are coming online and seeing that. So
oh yeah, I see it happen all the time. I mean, and I'm a little bit different perhaps from some people, but I see it in the everyday stuff that is governed by and driven by and dominated by the people who aren't seeing it. But I see it there too. I see it all the time. And quite honestly, one of my hardest things to do is to not laugh when I see it, because I don't want to humiliate anybody. That's not my goal. But sometimes I'm just chuckling to myself, like, you guys don't see this, do you?
It's true.
So yeah, I kind of watch that a little bit.
okay, it's good to have humor,
Well, plus I think one of the reasons I do it that way is I've learned the value of appreciating what I don't like. It took me a long time to get there. And now that I'm there, like, well, I just want to do it every day. I just want to push, how far can I push the limit today? I pushed it this far yesterday. Can I go a little farther today? I mean, that's the way it feels to me every single day. It's an amazing thing.
I love that. I think that's a big lesson in healing too, is like understanding, forgiving, accepting the things that are of contrast to you, because you take on the energy of the fight every time you dive into that. And for me in my journey, there was a lot of forgiveness that had to happen with like the way I was parented, and also the marriage that I was in, and just understanding that like we're all here and we're all given a certain set of tools from like that 0 to 7 years old, right? And that's when our big like subconscious mind is formed, and that's how we respond and react to most things in life is formed during that time. And if we don't have the tools, the rest of our life is a response to those things, acting out those things that happen. So if my mom, didn't have tools, she could only parent me a certain way until she chose to wake up and do differently. But that wasn't my job to tell her to wake up. Like, and we all know as much as we want to tell people to do something one way, they're going to do it their way until they arrive at the time of change. So forgiveness, I used to get so mad at like someone that I had gone to healers, and they say, well, your mother is your greatest teacher. I mean, you should really be thankful for her. And I'm like, F you, like my mom, like I feel so like hurt and so, mistrusted. And a lot of the things that I've had to work through are because of the experiences I had with her. But that also made me who I am right now. And how can I fault someone who had no other resources, and like that wasn't her journey? So I take it, you take it upon yourself to make those shifts and make those changes, and then you let that go, and then you're free. Like it's like the freedom that I'm sure you guys feel that as well. There's like a freedom when you know yourself and you know your worth, and can take that away.
I mean, if you can let that go, like the conversation of they should have done this and they should have done that, and like really step back and understand that, if they knew better, they would have done better, or they would have tried to do better. And that's not my job for them to do better. I can let this go. That freedom that comes from that, it's incredible.
Right. I love that. Yeah.
And of course, this is how you basically tied everything together to create your Arenda program. We haven't really talked a lot about that, but let's touch on that for just a moment. Talk about the program.
Yeah. So this idea came to me in a yoga class where I was, sweating on a dirty towel that wasn't doing the job. And I thought, every time I move, I connect and I hear messages and I get clear on me and my purpose. And we need to have moments of like setting intentions that incorporate our mind, body, spirit. Because saying like putting a post-it on your computer and saying like, I'm worthy, or, I'm strong, or I'm empowered. It's great to read those and they're great messaging, and you have to connect it so it creates a substantial memory in the subconscious mind. And doing that through physical movement, through color, through energy, setting intention. So Arenda is a tool. And actually the name originated from a Native American word that is the belief that there's energy in everything and we can harness that energy and use that energy. And so I just truly believe that the shift comes within, and this is just one tool. And so we have these yoga towels that are everything's like eco-friendly and intentionally made because it's just a higher energy and a higher power for that evolution. We have water bottles and hoodies, and we have free meditations on Spotify, so you can look up Arenda, and there's like a for every color. So we kind of line it with the chakra colors, and there's personalized messages on the towels that connect with those chakras, the I am for each of those. And then the meditations take you through that. So I'm really trying to create this holistic company that supports the human in their becoming. So thank you for letting me. Yeah, I'm excited to do it and to be here.
For people who want the Arenda merch, how do they find it?
You can go to arenda.us. So it's AURENDA.us. And I'm on Instagram at Arenda. And I've also started like doing my own, if you want to connect with me, or like these beliefs.
Well, you're starting to answer my next question. So this is a good thing. I like it.
Yeah. It's like Julie.f.Feldman, which is Feldman. And you can connect with me on Instagram or TikTok on all of those handles.
Beautiful. I love that. Very good. Thanks for sharing that too. And if Jen doesn't have the website, make sure she has the website. She'll put it into the show notes to make it easy for people to find it.
Great. I will.
We do actually have a couple things that we'd like to do at the end of every program, though. And
love it. I'm excited.
Oh, yeah. These are good, too. You're going to like these. I especially like the first one because that's where I get to go to Jody Lynn. Because Jody Lynn, as you can tell, not only does she have a lot to contribute, I don't know if you noticed, she's a note taker. She's a big time note taker. And when she takes a lot of notes, I know she's summing it all together, which is what her job is at the end, to kind of tie the whole thing together. So what do you got, Jody Lynn?
Okay. I think that this conversation was so beautiful. And thank you, Julie, for being here. I think you said earlier that we're at a pivotal time in history. I don't know if you said those exact words, but that's how it felt or how it resonated with me. It's time to wake up. It's it's a pivotal moment, and I feel that, and I love what you're doing. And some of the things that I wrote down that impacted me the most from your words is the one phrase that you used: when you know your worth, you'll never settle for less. And I think that's such a beautiful reminder to everybody listening, including ourselves today in this conversation, of reminding ourselves of what we're worth and seeing that worth and seeing how wonderful and beautiful we are as individuals, and shining that light within to learn to love ourselves, and then as a result shining out. And I don't know if this was intentional or not, but when you were telling us about your work and what you're bringing to the world, it automatically made me think of the story of water. And when we take words and we put them into water and then freeze them, the crystalline structure of the water changes depending on what the word was, whether it was a beautiful word or maybe not so beautiful. And I think that's really what you're doing for the world, and what you're bringing to the world is an opportunity for our internal crystalline structures to change with the words that are on your mats and your towels and your hoodies. And I think that's so incredibly beautiful, because it's not only a transformation outward, but really a transformation inward all the way out. So thank you for that reminder today, Julie.
Thank you so much. I'm honored to be here, and I really am humbled by what you said. And I love that you talked about the crystalline because I absolutely believe in that. And I mean, we're at the end of the day, we're 80% water. And so we have that power. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
You can see why I go to Jody Lynn at the end of the show. I mean,
100%.
right? This is an easy call. You don't have to work on this one. But we do have another little, I guess you call it a tradition that we do that I started a few years back. Because now that we're able to do this show, I mean, this show, you're in San Diego, I'm in Connecticut, she's in Alberta, Canada. It's like we're in each other's living room. 30 years ago, that wasn't possible. Now it's every day. It's like, oh yeah, so what? Another session, big deal. It's easy now to take that stuff seriously, like how wonderful and miraculous it is, but it really is miraculous. And what has come along with it is new ways of not only connecting, but also sharing, marketing, helping to get information to other people's hands and so forth. That's why you're doing this podcast. I'm sure you do other podcasts as well. That's why you do your stuff on Instagram, on TikTok, all that kind of thing, because you're trying to share as much as you can. And what I noticed a few years back was, everybody's doing that now, which is a good thing, but we aren't getting a lot of credit for that ripple effect that Jody Lynn was talking about. In fact, that kind of gets dismissed much of the time. And I like to bring that out because I think it's important. So I like to do it this way. Julie, on behalf of those people that you've never met and never seen and never will meet and never will see, who you've been helping in ways you didn't even know about just because of all the ways that you're sharing, on their behalf, thank you for what you're doing because you're making a difference in this world.
Thank you so much. I have chills.
And now you know why we do these two things at the end.
Yeah, I love it. I'm speechless.
So thank you very much. Thank you to our podcast listeners everywhere. And we will see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody. And that's